toss aside some of my previous conclusions. On this pilgrimage, I'm going to read this one more time. This is very key. On this pilgrimage, what I have seen and experienced has forced me to rearrange much of my thought patterns previously held, and to toss aside some of my previous conclusions. This was not too difficult for me. Despite my firm convictions, I have always been a man who tries to face facts and to accept the reality of life as new experience and new knowledge unfolds it. I have always kept an open mind, which is necessary to the flexibility that must go hand in hand with every form of intelligent search for truth. The words of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
With that, let's hear from the brother himself.
You know the book by S.N. Udam?
In response to my last few posts.
Nationalism, I know you must.
I was with S.N. Udam in Nigeria last month.
I wish you'd tell me about him. Who is he?
Well, he's a Nigerian. At present, he's a professor at Ibadan University.
I didn't know where he was now. I knew he was a scholar.
Yes.
Do you agree with his analysis that the black Muslim religion, Islam in America, has served as a concealed device to gratify the American Negro's aspirations for white middle-class values?
No, I don't think...
he takes that view.
Yes, but I don't think that the objective of the American Negro is white middle-class values. Because what are white middle-class values? And what makes the whites who have these middle-class values have those values? Where did they get it? They didn't have these same values, 400 years, 500 years ago. Where did they get their value system that they now have attained to? And my contention is that if you trace it back, it was the people of the East who brought them out of the Dark Ages, who brought about the period, ushered in or initiated the atmosphere that brought into Europe the period known as the Renaissance, or the reawakening of Europe. And this reawakening actually involved an era during which the people of Europe who were coming out of the Dark Ages were then adopting the value system of the people in the East, of the Oriental societies, many of which they were exposed to for the first time during the Crusades. Well, these were African. These were the African, Arab, Asian values. The only section of Europe that had a high value system during the Dark Ages were those on the Iberian Peninsula in the Spanish, Portuguese area, southern France. And that high state of culture existed there because Africans, known as Moors, had come there and brought it there. So, the only section of Europe that had a high value system during the Dark Ages were those on the Iberian Peninsula in the Spanish, Portuguese area, southern France. And that high state of culture existed there because Africans, known as Moors, had come there and brought it there. So,
prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh, yes. Please. I think you're right in my script. The audience will have to be quiet. Yes, as I pointed out when I was during my traveling, that nations African nations and Asian nations and Latin American nations look very hypocritical when they stand up in the United Nations condemning the racist practices of South Africa and that which is practiced by Portugal and Angola, and saying nothing in the UN about the racist practices that are manifest every day against Negroes in this society. Even in South Africa, those Africans aren't faced with bayonets and aren't faced with police dogs. I would be not a man If I was in a position to bring it in front of the United Nations and didn't do so, I wouldn't be a man.
Malcolm, do you intend to lead the charge in the United Nations?
Well, I find that to say you're going to lead something creates a lot of hostility, division, jealousy, and envy.
Men and women,
I hope
look at you.
to work with any group of leaders or any group of organizations to do whatever is necessary to see that this problem is brought before the United Nations.
Whether it's monogamy, polygamy, whatever, nation.
I would rather not say at this time. But one thing I found in my travels, all of them look upon us as their long-lost brother.
You realize the implication is that you have had such commitments when you say...
This is your interpretation of what I said. One thing that I found in all of my travels was that all of the Africans, not only the Africans, but the Asians and the Muslims, look upon us as their long-lost brothers. And America had actually tricked many of them into a hands-off policy by giving them the impression that she was honestly trying to do something to solve the problem. My argument over there was designed to prove that it is impossible for the United States government to solve the race problem. It's impossible.
Things that will help you fight for freedom. Nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism. And
so let's get it.
And you and I will get it through nationalism. What is it? What is it that makes it difficult for the philosophy of nationalism to spread among the so-called Negroes? Number one, they think they have a stake in America. They think they have an investment in this country, which we do. We invested 310 years of slave labor, 310 years, every day of which your and my mother and father worked for nothing. Not 8 hours a day. There was no union in that day. They worked from sun up until sundown, from can't see in the morning until can't see at night. They never had a day off. And on Sunday, they were allowed to sit down and sing about when they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. When they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. They'd go up in the sky, and every day would be Sunday. That's a shame. And it is that 310 years of slave labor that went in, that was my and your contribution into this particular economy and political system. They can give us the back pay. Let's join in. If this is what the Negro wants, let's join him. Let's show him how to struggle. Let's show him how to fight. Let's show him how to bring about a real revolution. Let's make him stop jiving. You don't need a debate. You don't need a filibuster. You need some action.
I have more of this, more every day. The men and women and children. It's only a few chosen.